Hi everyone. Now that you've finished your research, you are ready to move on to your product proposal. Hopefully you've come up with an idea for your product. So let's get started. There on the second page of the Google site, there is the instructions and the template that I would like you to follow for your product proposal. So let's go over a few things before we get started, because you're going to need to understand who and create a target audience, as well as different ways that advertisers get people to buy their products, which you are also going to be incorporating as part of your product proposal. Now, right now, this is merely the draft. I don't need the product image. I don't need this to be fancy, and we don't need pictures. I don't need to have change font color or anything like that. That you're going to be doing in your next step when we actually make your advertisement in Photoshop Elements. So let's discuss the who's, the what's, and the how's of making your actual advertisement proposal. What goes into making a successful advertisement? So you need to figure out who your target audience is. So think about for a moment. Now, obviously, you don't want to make it too general, like it's marketed to everyone. You're looking for people with specific interests. Not too specific, but somewhere in the middle. So you're looking at maybe an age range or an occupation or something of that nature. But what things about are these people interested in, and how are you going to get them to your product's going to improve their life or make them happy or appeal to them. So this is going to be your target audience. This is going to help you to be able to develop specifics about your product so that you can market it to this group specifically. If you try and make it too general, then you're kind of all over the place, and you don't want to make it so narrow that you aren't marketing it to enough people. Second thing you need to consider are the what. What is the seller trying to get you to buy or think? These are the different facts about your product. Specific facts, not things that are subjective. These are actual details about what is in your product. This is also where you need to start to consider your price. Now, you're going to need to do some research for both of these things. Find a similar product, go out, do some investigation, figure out actual details about products and actual prices. You can't just make something $1 million just because you want it to be $1 million. People aren't going to buy it. So you need to figure out what is a good price for your product. Maybe also consider thinking about where else people can find information about your products. These are the details or facts about your product. So this is your product proposal. Now, the template that is on the web quest contains all this information. So the first thing you need to think about is your target audience. Who is making the product? Well, you are the designer. You are making the product. The company that is making it. You are marketing it. You are trying to partner with the M&M company, but you own your own company. So you can get a little creative with this. It is the name of whatever your company. I will ask you no last names in the business name. First name is fine, but no last names. What do you call your product? Now, come up with a creative name for your product. If your product idea was, say, M&M shoes, you don't want to call them just M&M shoes. That's not really very creative. So think for a bit on what would be a good name. If you get stuck on it for right now, you can skip it. This is a draft, so it is something that you can change later on. How do you easily remember it? You are bombarded with hundreds of these a day. That short little phrase that identifies different products. That is your catchy slogan. Your catchy slogan is generally between 3 and 6 words. However, it can be slightly longer, but it's never a whole paragraph. Can it be shorter? If you can come up with something that's shorter, sure. Now, describe what your product is going to be. This is where those details come in, that where you're starting to think about who your target audience and what different things about your product would your target audience be interested in. These are the facts about your product that you're trying to use to persuade people to want to buy it. You have to have a minimum of 5 different details about your product. Can you give me more? Yes, you can. And the most important detail, price. That's not one of your 5 details. That would be essentially your 6th detail. And remember, do some research. Figure out what would be a competitive price for your product, not just any price. And you're going to be needing to include 2 ad techniques. Now, these are the things that advertisers use to persuade you to get to buy their products, not just the details. These are the things that are not necessarily irrefutable facts, but ways that they appeal to the target audience. Once you have targeted the audience, again, this is how the advertisers are going to try and market it to you. So here are some different examples. Now, in the parentheses are what each of these different things, these different techniques are called. On the next slide will be a longer list of them. That link is also off of the web quest for you to review. So these are different examples of ad techniques. However, these are what the different ad techniques are called. There are a great many of them. I'm going to have a link to these also on the assignment for you to take a look at as needed. You need a minimum of 2 of these within your magazine advertisement. Good luck.